Hello, what we're going to be doing in this video is we're going to go ahead and write a Python program that computes and displays the volume of a cone given the height and the radius of the cone. So here's a diagram of what the cone would look like. We have our height and then we have the radius of the cone. The formula to compute the volume of a cone is the following, where volume equals pi r squared and the height and everything divided by 3. The program should prompt the user to input the radius and height of the cone, and you want to use the Python defined constant for pi to go ahead and use that in your calculation for the volume. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I need to do is go ahead and open up idle. And then what I need to do after I open up idle is I need to create a new file. So I'll just click on File, New File, and then we will go ahead and type in our program. So let me just go ahead and expand this a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add a comment to let the user know what this program is going to do. So this program will calculate the volume of a cone given the radius and height. Okay, so that's my comment for what the program should do. Since the instructions tell us to use the constant defined by Python for pi, we need to go ahead and import our math module. So I'll just write an import statement, import math. And then they want us to prompt the user to gather the input for both the radius and height. So when you're prompting the user, you want to make sure and enter a string so the user knows exactly what they should be inputting as the input. So the first thing we need to do is we need to define a new variable. We're going to call it radius, and that will equal, and then we will go ahead and have our input. And then within our input, we will enter the string that we're going to prompt the user with, enter the radius, and we'll have a single quote. And then since any input into a Python program is a string, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and convert that input if we want to use it in a formula, which we will be doing later on in your program. You want to convert it into a number type. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert it into a float. So what I can do is just wrap my input statement with float value, and basically what that'll do is the user would input the radius as a string, and then we would convert it to a float so we can use it later on in our program to calculate the volume. So we have our radius. We'll do the same thing with our height. Again, we'll convert it to a float. We'll ask the user to enter the height. And then we have the input from the user. So what we need to do next is we need to calculate our volume. So it'll just be volume equal. And then in order to get our constant for pi, we'll just type in math and then dot pi. And basically that is a constant value that Python has stored in the math module that you could use for your pi constant. So it'll be just math times pi. And then we're going to multiply it by our radius squared. And we're going to multiply that by our height. And then we are going to divide by 3. So that is our volume calculation. And then the last thing we need to do in this program is just go ahead and print this out. So let me just go ahead and add in a print statement. And it'll just be the volume of the cone is, and then we will go ahead, add our closing single quote, and then we'll add in a comma, and then we'll print our volume. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to eliminate that extra space there. So looks like we have our program. This program does not need any additional comments. It's a very simple program, and as long as we commented up above what the program is going to do, the user should be able to figure it out by the use of our variable names. So we will go ahead, click on the Run button, run our module. I'll go ahead and save it. Go out to my C drive, Python chapter 2, and what we're going to call it is ConeVolume. And I will go ahead and click on Save. And then we'll go ahead, enter our radius of 5 and our height of 10. And it looks like we get a volume of 261,799. So what we need to do when you run a program is you need to go ahead and make sure you're getting the correct volume so that you have not made some type of mathematical error in this formula. So what I've done is I've just gone out to Google and searched for how you can calculate the volume of a right circular cone, which we're using. So we'll just go ahead, enter our radius of 5 and enter our height of 10, and we get 261.8, which it's rounded up for us. So again, when you write your code after you've run it, you want to make sure that you're getting the correct output, and this is a very easy test here. We just needed to find where out in Google where there was actually a way that you could calculate the right cone volume. If you're using another program, you may need to actually run through the mathematical calculations using a calculator just to make sure that you're getting the correct output for your program. So that's all I wanted to cover in this video. So what we did, quick little review, is we calculated the volume of a cone. To do that, we used the pi constant provided by Python, and we asked the user to input the radius and height. And again, we prompted the user for those values, and when we outputted the information, we actually let the user know exactly what we were calculating by including this string in our print statement. And if we wanted to actually see what the value is stored by Python in Pi, what we can do in the interactive shell is just go ahead and import our math module, and then we could just go ahead and print out math.py, and basically it returns 3.14159 and a bunch of additional digits, places to the right of the decimal place. So that's all I had for this video. So we will go ahead and talk to you later.